Hey everyone, it's episode 143 of the Diet Diaries. And today, if you're listening to this on the day it comes out, which is Monday, September 4th, I think is the date. It's Labor Day here in the United States, which is the unofficial end of summer. The seasons don't officially change until like September 20th or 21st, but this is a big kind of demarcation for most of us. And a lot of you listening, if you live, I live in the Northeast in New Jersey, if you live in other parts of the country, or even if you do live in the Northeast, actually, your kids may already be back in school. We start school this Thursday. We're like privileged, the latest, like the very last part of the country to go back to school. There are some of you who probably have kids or know people who've been in school for a month already, which like kind of blows my mind. So I kind of wanted to do, this is going to be like a short and sweet episode. I kind of wanted to do like an end of summer update episode, more about like logistical stuff, what I've been thinking about, what's coming, what I've learned from you guys. Because it's like, today's the holiday. Not even sure how many people are going to be actively listening today. Just wanted to kind of give you, just like some info and an update as to where things are at with me and what that means for you, I guess. Because I think there's like around back to school, it's almost like a New Year's kind of thing. There's a feeling of like we're getting back into a routine or we're starting a new routine. Things maybe have been kind of off schedule because of summer, you've had a different schedule. So sometimes we do get a bit of that quote like reset feeling. And you guys know how I feel about on track, off track language and like resets. And also there is kind of a feeling of like a newness, to the school year. And it's so funny. I was talking to my good friend, Erica, who lives in Australia, and their school year coincides with the calendar year, which like blows my mind. Anyway, so if you're anyone international listening and this is like not making sense to you, sorry. It still applies, but maybe not quite as relevant in terms of the timing. And I think when we have that sense of newness, or we know there's a new schedule or a new routine coming, we have that urge to want to like get back on track. So if you're feeling that as your kids, if you have kids, are going back to school, or even as you're coming off of summer, even if you don't have kids or your kids are grown, right? Whatever life stage you're at, summer has like a different feel to it. We're taking time off, we're away. If you have a certain type of job that have summer Fridays, there's just a very different kind of transitionary feel going from summer to fall that doesn't really exist, I think, between other transitions, between seasons. There's kind of like a newness and a freshness. And I think that's inherently built in because of the school year, even if you don't have a kid in your life. It's just kind of like a cultural thing. But what I wanted to say, and I'm going to keep this short and sweet, is that if you're having that feeling of like, I need to get back on track. I've been eating too much this summer. I've been drinking too much this summer. I've barely been exercising. Pick one small thing. I know you're going to want to feel the urge to do everything all at once. I get it. Pull back a little bit. Sit in that discomfort of doing less, and you will find it's going to get you a lot farther in the long run. It is a lot easier to stick to one small thing for a long period of time than to do 10 things hardcore and you're burnt out after a month. Right? There's a saying out there, I did not invent this, the long way is the shortcut. And that is 1,000% true for so many things, but especially around fat loss, around changes to our health, around changes to, food and exercise, all of that stuff. So notice what's kind of coming up for you if you're feeling that urge or that need that you have to like do something. I get that. We want to take action. It makes us feel like we are doing something about how we're feeling. Do less. Do less than you think you want to, and watch how you are able to stick with it longer, right? See where you are a month from now, 6 weeks from now, 8 weeks from now. And if you want some accountability, send me an email. Let me know what it is that you are working on. And we can check back in a month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and see where things are at. So I wanted to share that. Also wanted to just kind of touch on a couple of things I put out to you guys. So if you're on my email list a couple of weeks ago, and I sent it out again last week, I sent out a survey wanting 2 questions, super simple, wanting to understand more about what you want, right? Every product and service that I create is for you guys. And so I want to make sure that I am addressing your needs in the way that you want them to be met. So I got a lot of good insight from that, and I'm going to be sharing more about it. But two kind of big things rose to the top. And one is that there is a need for a self-guided course, and that there is a lot of interest in group coaching. So a self-guided course is coming. I was already had an idea, and this kind of definitely confirmed it. It's going to be something on the shorter side, 10 days to 2 weeks. It's going to be around fat loss without dieting. No, you are not going to lose fat in 10 days to 2 weeks. You're going to learn some really foundational skills that you can then practice beyond that, right? That loss takes time, right? Any group coaching program that's like, oh yeah, we're going to work together for 6 weeks and you're going to lose weight. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. You could lose a couple pounds. This is about learning the skills in a kind of a relatively short period of time, because these are simple skills. Not necessarily easy, they get easy, but they're going to be simple and absolutely learnable in 10 days to 2 weeks. And then you go off and take them with you. It's going to be super affordable. It is going to be the most affordable thing that I've ever offered. Because right now the only way to work together is one-to-one coaching. And I totally realize that that is not something that everyone's budget can accommodate. And I want to have other offerings for you guys if that doesn't work for you, or if one-to-one coaching is just not something that you feel like is the right fit. So there's going to be a self-guided course coming this fall. That's going to be like early-ish October. I'll open the doors to kind of sign up for that late September. So in a few weeks. And then a group coaching program is coming. That's probably realistically going to be early next year. I'm not going to sync it up with New Year stuff. I'm going to give you a chance to kind of settle into the new year, and then maybe like late January, we'll get that started. I am leaning more towards doing a semi-private offering, which is going to be a really small group, like 2 to 3 people. And if there's interest, meaning if there's more than 2 to 3 people who are interested, which would be amazing, I will set up more than one group. Like we'll have multiple cohorts going at the same time. I'm super excited about that idea and that form of support and that type of community. I think there is so much value in it. Personally, I think more so than large group coaching. And there was a lot of interest in both. So I'm going to lean more towards semi-private, and I will share more details about that. So if that's resonating with you, just kind of keep that in the back of your head that is going to be coming early next year, like late January, early February-ish, right? I'm just kind of like spitballing that right now. Because the thing about group coaching, and I have found this, I've been in a lot of group coaching programs. I also led a group coaching program last fall. And what tends to happen with group coaching is it's not really coaching. It's basically lecturing. It becomes like a series of weekly or bi-weekly like webinars. And there's tons of great info in there. But coaching is not lecturing. Coaching is dynamic, it is interactive, it is partnership, it is collaboration, it is holding space, it is problem solving together. And that is what I want to do. And so a semi-private group with 2 to 3 people is a perfect setting for that, where we can be working through problems in real time. What one person is struggling with is likely something that another person is struggling with. So that's going to be a really helpful tool to be able to connect. Obviously, we know connection is a huge part of working through shame and knowing that you're not the only one. So when group coaching happens, know that it's not going to be like, oh, you're sitting and watching me go through a bunch of slides on Zoom. That's not going to be it. Yes, I'm going to be teaching and sharing skills, but not with like a 20 slide presentation every week. Not that doesn't have its place. It does. That's just not what I want. I don't think that's what you guys want. I would not want to get on Zoom every week or every other week to look at like, a 30 slide presentation. Like it gets boring. And it's like, what do I do with this? Great. This information's awesome. What do I do with it? How do I apply this to my life? Like coaching is what's happening specifically in your life, and looking at your life and your needs and your lifestyle and your goals and your preferences and your obstacles, and figuring out how to make the skills meet you where you are, right? A PowerPoint, Google slide presentation doesn't do that. So anyway, that's my little soapbox about group coaching. And I'm really excited about it. So that is coming. And the other kind of thing I just wanted to update on is just about how I'm sharing content. I I share a lot of free content, which I love doing. I have obviously this podcast. I have my weekly Monday email and Instagram, right? On Instagram, there's stories and then there's like feed posts. And I'm just kind of going through, I'm going to say a phase. It's not a phase. I'm just starting to really reassess kind of all of those platforms and what I'm sharing and how I'm sharing, what is most helpful for you guys, what I enjoy creating the most, and finding the intersection of all that. Nothing is going away. It's probably going to be likely a bit of a shift in terms of the social media piece. What my gut is telling me is probably less posts, less feed posts, less reels, and redirecting some of that time and energy that's spent creating those into the other platforms, into the podcast, into the Monday emails, and into stories. Because what I'm hearing from you guys and what, in terms of what I enjoy creating, that's really like where it's at. And I also don't know, like feed posts, it's at the whim. So are stories for that matter, but they're a little more reliable. Like feed posts are at the whim of the algorithm. So I could create something that I think is really helpful that maybe you guys even asked for, and then nobody sees it. And I'm like, well, that's not helpful for you guys, right? So I want to make sure you're seeing it. And I know you're seeing things when I send them on email. So if you are not on my email list, put yourself on there. I send an email every Monday. I share a lot of personal stuff, what I'm working through, skills I'm using, kind of do some coaching in terms of things that you can be working on. It really kind of runs the gamut of personal stuff to specific skills, to coaching, to stories, to what I have clients are working on, what their struggles are. And I'm thinking I'm going to start to include even like a little more like education in those, sort of kind of redirecting some of the stuff that I was doing on Instagram posts and sharing it in email because it's just easier. Like sometimes it's easier for me to communicate that way. Instagram posts are like, you have a set number of characters, so it has to be within those 2,200 characters. And not everyone, you're scrolling Instagram, it's like hard to get people's attention on things that maybe require more attention, right? Not everything that I talk about can be summarized in like a 15-second like little blip. And I know that email can be tough too, but with the world we live in, my email open rates are super, super high. Like it's amazing. If you're on my email list and you're listening to this, thank you guys. Like my email open rates are in like this low 70%, which is like crazy high, which means that I know that people are getting them, people are reading them, and people are staying on the list, right? And I know that you want to be getting them because if you didn't, the open rates would go down and people would be unsubscribing like crazy, and that's not happening. So I just feel like email is a more direct way to be able to share things with you, to make sure that you're getting it, right? It's fine for me to create stuff, but if Instagram doesn't show it to you, it's like, well, what was the point of that? I want you guys to be getting what I'm creating so that it's helpful. And I know the podcast does that, and I know that email does that. So those are my thoughts. There's always a link in the show notes to add yourself to the Monday email list. If you're not on that, you can also just reach out and I can add you manually. And again, I just want to say thank you for being here. There is so much content out there in every form, and it can be overwhelming, like insanely overwhelming. And so I just want to thank you for listening. If this is your first time you've listened, if you listen every week, if you listen once a month, whatever it is, thank you for any of the attention that you choose to give me and give this podcast. I do not take it for granted. I am living in the world that we're all living in, and I'm barraged with information and overwhelmed, and I'm working to be more selective about where I give my attention. And so the fact that you guys give your attention to this is incredibly meaningful. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here, and more to come soon. And if you ever have an idea or something you want to learn more about or you need support with, reach out. I'm happy to do an episode on it. I know sometimes it feels weird to like reach out and you're like, I don't know. I know that it can feel awkward. I get it, but I wouldn't say that if I didn't really mean it, if I didn't really want ideas from you guys. So that's it. Nice and short today. Happy end of summer. Happy back to school if it's this week or it happened. And if none of those things apply to you, just hope you have a great day. All right. See you guys soon.